All right, here it is. This is Sandy from s.ranellearts, and I'm going to do my sketchbook flip through, and we'll see. Hopefully this won't take too long. So the sketchbook I've been using, if you're following me, is the Pentalic Traveler's Landscape Journal. It is not watercolor paper. It comes with a little pocket in the back, and so far the only thing I have really back there is an extra paper towel for when I'm watercoloring, just in case. I put this little sticker on. This is Octocat. He represents the, my husband just told me, I forgot what it was. Anyway, he's a little sticker set that we got, and I just liked him because I needed something and I didn't want to do my own painting on it. All right, here we go. I'm just gonna do a quick flip through and a little bit on some pages, a little bit of info on some pages. So I started out with who this belongs to, and I left my email address in case anybody should find it. It's funny, when I first heard of this idea, I thought, oh please, who cares? But then once you put all this time into a sketchbook, you can see I've almost finished it. Once you put all the time into a sketchbook, you're like, if I lose this is actually valuable to me. It's not worth any money, but it's worth something to me with all the time I put in. Anyway, so I did that, and then this was supposed to be just urban sketching, book one of mine. So I've just started out with urban sketching, but you'll see as I go through it, it's not quite how it ended up. It's a lot more than just urban sketching, but that's all right. On this page here, since it wasn't white and wasn't watercolor or anything, not that this is, but I tested my micron pens and I took notes. And you'll see in some places I'll mention where I took notes from some of the videos that I watch on YouTube and some of the people I follow. This is my cat on my chair in front of the window with a couple of the plants that I took off the balcony to winter inside so that I could still have them. And that's a canna, and that's a geranium with no flowers. All right, so then this is me in the morning. I have a setup with my pens and pencils and things, and our fireplace, and having a cup of coffee. There's the fireplace, and it's usually much more cluttered on the mantle, but every once in a while I get a nice pared down look, and that's what that is. This is in the mall. I was just like, I did this in March, even though I began a lot of this in January. So I kind of did about maybe 3 or 4 months in this book. But in March, I had an empty page here, and I was out in the mall, and I was like, okay, I'm just gonna, these gumballs were kind of cool. And here's me just working on my perspective, something I have never really had any formal training in, so I just have been following other people and working on my perspective practice. This is a bike ride that I took, and there's a bridge in our Museum of Science and Industry. We have Canada geese all over, and so that was that. And this is me starting out urban sketching, thinking I want to do a full spread. What a mistake. I didn't know perspective well. This is a bridge. It looks like, I don't know. So this isn't my favorite page, but let's move on. Seed packet, another one of my first attempts. This is in January. We actually had a nice day and sun, and I sat out there and drew just this building with some people in front of it. I wanted to get used to the drawing tables and people, and that. So that's early on. A little bit later, this is, I actually have a video on that. That's Salmon Street Fountain. And then this is from a photograph from Bella Grace magazine, Field Guide, and I like that picture, and it's kind of just monochromatic. This is from Tio Chen, and I was working on my perspectives and skyscrapers. It is still something I struggle with. Let's see, I'm off the page. I do struggle with perspectives and vanishing point, so I would follow his videos and try to copy what he did. This one is on the tilting the vertical lines for more dynamic sketch. Yeah, I'm not at that level yet. And this one is on the placing people. This is actually from the Circle Line Art School, but the idea that you have all the people have their eye level at the same place, and then their feet will vary, and that'll show you who's close. And that is something I still have to work on. In fact, you'll see most of my sketches don't include people because it's I'm just not comfortable with it yet. I'm leaving very shortly for my trip, and so I want to get comfortable. I will not be bringing this though. And then this is where you place the eyes all at the same level on the horizon, but then the feet are all at different levels. So that's another way to show who's in front and give perspective. All right, so then here, this is 1-point perspective, and this is windows. All of this is T.O. Chen's channel from Parker Blocks, and I like to follow him because I think he's very informative and really helpful. This is his window. I decided I wanted to do a window in detail, so I started with the simple window, and then I began to move on from there into this. This is actually something he did. I didn't color it. I haven't finished it, but it's on Vanishing Point. Didn't finish that one. This is a little bit more detail on one of the more complicated windows from T.O. I was practicing. Okay, now we're getting into people, and I worked on contour, and these are not great. They're just me getting started with people. And these are all Pride and Prejudice, different people. Sometimes they look like the person, sometimes they don't, but it was just me getting comfortable sketching people with a pen and not a pencil. And this is David. Room with a View, it's kind of odd looking. And then this was just me practicing over and over again. So these are very early February, some in January. Okay, this was one of my first attempts. It's horrible. I went out there and I sat and just drew, and I sketched too fast. Nothing looked right. So this was, I was meeting friends, and again, this is in January, and I just tried to rush through because as soon as everybody got there, I completely stopped, and so then I had to go back from photographs. And also standing outside the window sketching this, not great. These are all real early on, and early on there's no perspective. There's, you know, I just was in a hurry to get them done and get something out, get used to being outdoors and drawing. So all that's, you know, this is Circle Line Art School. It's one of the buildings. And then this is, I think, also Circle Line Art School, just working on the vanishing point and 1-point perspective for the roof and the size of the house and all that. So that's what that is. All right, this is out at PDX Sliders in February, and I was just drawing while we sat at the counter. This was outside my husband's place of work, and I started to include, that's when I started to work on Vanishing Point. This was a day of drinking ciders, and we got a flight of ciders and some pie, pizza, and yeah, so after a cider or two, you don't really draw really well. There's my husband, another one of my first attempts in front of the cider. He doesn't like that picture. I don't like that picture. Okay, so then I started working on people with, not really contour. I wouldn't hesitate to pick up the pen, but before I did the 100 people sketches, I wanted to start practicing people. So most of these come out of a magazine or the yoga journal. And here we are at Clay's Smokehouse, and this too was just a mess. In fact, this side is completely off. Everything's off on this side, but then this side I really took my time and worked on, and I like the way this came out. But you know, all this was to learn. This is the benefit of keeping a sketchbook. All right, more people. These are off of some of my DVDs. So I have Jane Eyre and Mrs. Potter, which is one of my favorite, or Miss Potter, which is one of my favorite movies, and Music and Lyrics. And you know, this is supposed to be Hugh Grant, and he's hideously ugly. So at least in this picture. So I told my husband, don't worry if the picture doesn't look that great, because you know, if I can make Hugh Grant look like that, what chance do the rest of us have? All right, more yoga. And then these are more Enchanted April and The Bishop's Wife and Lord of the Rings. That's a little scary. At first it was really bad, and then towards the end I started to get him. He was a little better and she was a little better. I'm not going to think of the names right now. More people from magazines. And then right about here, I had a little breakthrough. This was still in February, but I was trying to get all this detail in on this woman. And this is the same woman. And once I stopped that ridiculousness and moved over here and just simplified everything for these sketches, this wasn't a portrait. This was just supposed to be a sketch of a woman. Then all of a sudden I remembered, to simplify. And once you simplify, it just gets easier. So I was going to put more people in here, and Lady Gaga had this crazy makeup, but I can't find the picture that I used as a reference, and so we're just leaving that. I tried green marker, thought it was great for plants. I got so excited I used it on my living room. It doesn't look great on the living room because the living room isn't green. So yeah, it has a place. It's waterproof, but it's greens and plants. That's not great, so I'm going to just skip over that. That was the first drawing I did of that little tray, and I actually have a video posted of a second drawing I did of that, and that's in here. Out at the theater before we saw Black Panther, working on that. This was having a bowl of ramen. This was lots of little people at the park. Everybody kept moving, and the kids were running around, so I tried to get everything fast, although this couple never moved an inch the whole time I was there. And then this was me trying to sit in a cafe and sketch this woman, and I was so nervous about sketching her. She had her earphones on, her headphones on, and she was looking down at her phone the whole time, and she did not know I existed, but I still rushed through that really fast because I was worried she would be like, why are you drawing me? More ramen. This is a really cool building, but my colors are kind of off. It's a cement color, and this seems very green to me. But here I'm starting to get a little more comfortable sitting outside and drawing the buildings and what I see. This one I'm actually going to do a painting of in a real watercolor book because I really like the way it came out. It's really just our spaghetti factory, but it's a very cool building, and it has a blue roof and a red brick, and it's really cool. So I'm going to redo this on an actual piece of watercolor paper and tape that, or record that when I get back. All right, I had a momentary lapse of sanity and turned this upside down, and there is those are the gondolas that take the workers and patients or whomever up to the OHSU building that's up on the hill, the hospital up there. Okay, so that was that. And then I got back to normal. This is me drawing my daughter. I'm not sure what happened there. I hadn't even had my cider yet, and it's awful. So I redid it at home, and I don't even know if I used a photograph. I may have taken a photograph of her, but I just redid it and tried to simplify everything. Yeah, I don't know what was happening. She was looking down, but yeah. Okay, let's just go back. This is a really pretty park, and again, my husband was with me, and I'm trying to get out the sketch, but I was just really getting started on my urban sketching. And here my daughter and I went up to Mount Tabor, which is a really pretty park that we have right in the middle of the city, and we sat up from this guy who was smoking something. We were getting a contact high just sitting upwind of him, and she was working on her cosplay wig, and I was sketching. And that is one of the people you want to go urban sketching with, is somebody who has something to keep them occupied. Because when I go with my husband, he has very small tolerance for me sitting there doing a full drawing, whereas she's really good about that. Although I did finish this at home, but I got a lot done there. And these are the cherry trees along our waterfront, and it's real pretty at a certain time of the year, and so I went over there and sketched that. And this is a submarine outside of our Museum of Science and Industry. I'm going to do a painting of that. I think I'm going to redo that on a better page. This I posted. This is Lardo. I posted this one. That's the community garden. This was just a bike ride. Real nice little area. It was secluded. I didn't have to lock my bike or anything, so I enjoyed it. Here, these are from photographs out of the Bella Grace field guide, and it's just a lot of pictures of women relaxing and enjoying themselves in the sun, or whatever. And so I really like the feel of those, and I have a painting working on that, so I'm going to do that in more detail, but I won't have it done until I get back. Woman knitting in one of the magazines. Here's another woman out there just enjoying the water, and that one was really monochromatic, so I did that one kind of fast. And more of the same. That's the Bella Grace Field Guide to Everyday Magic. That's where these came from. Videos on this. This is the dragon. These are the dragon boats. I have a video on that. This was just me. Actually, on the other side of the dock, I came up and sat on a bench and drew some boats and just some vegetation in front of that. This is the play ball. That was one of the boats behind the dragon boats. He's a little squatty. It's much longer, but I wanted to fit on the page, so it's a little, proportions are off. This is out of the Bella Grace. Also, again, just a woman out there enjoying herself. And a couple more, just faces. I did a few people. Not finished. That's one of our Nike Bike Town bike racks, and it's a cool picture. I took a photograph of it, so I'm going to finish that. There's a video of this lamppost, and that posted. I was going to do desserts on this page. I got one dessert done, and I was lucky to get it painted. This is the Totoro pencil case that I gave my daughter and then took back from her because I love it. And so it was in that sketch I did of my fruit tray or whatever. So yeah, there's one I just did of it, and I'll probably do it over and over again because I love it. This is my little backpack that my sister got from Hawaii, and it's just a little sling bag, but I love it, and I take that with me sketching sometimes. This was our day of decadence. So after we went and had cider and we went and had pizza, then we went over to the Creo chocolate factory or chocolatier, whatever it is, and we called it Day of Decadence because we just let ourselves eat and drink whatever we wanted. And this one is just hot chocolate, I think, and a brownie and some other something, I don't know, but they I can't talk more about them. All right, this is in we went there for we took a bike ride, so that's my husband's recumbent and my bike, and we went and met his father, and it was like a 30-mile round trip. And this is McMiniman's, which is a local chain, and they brew their own beer. And I had a cider, of course, and you're going to start to see all the ciders. It's going to be a little embarrassing, ciders and beers, but I have to paint that, finish that. There's my husband out flying his drone that he got for Christmas. And yeah, we stopped and had beer. I always have cider. He always has beer. It's all over the place. This one, I have a recording started. I'm going to finish on camera, so I'll post that. That was just a trip to the park. This one is not quite finished yet. This is one of our balloon sculptures. This is outside of the OHSU extra campus, satellite campus, whatever that is. And then this one's over the World Trade Center. That one was quite a challenge for me because I got the angles wrong. I was sitting out there, it was cold, I'd ridden my bike, people were coming and going, and then there was so much to draw on this that I had to cut out a whole bunch of it. But I'm going to finish painting that eventually. This one was for my mammogram, and it's really nice. This Kearney Breast Center is really pretty, but I haven't finished that one, so yeah. This one's quick. I'm going to breeze over that. That was a fountain, and I went too fast and didn't put the details in right, so I'm not super proud of that. This one I like. It's a little cafe, and I was sitting on a bench across the way. There are these benches in this all over there, and I was sitting on a bench across the way, and I like the structure of the building. I like the stone. All the colors were cool. It was a really nice day. And then here are some of the plants that are. This is all in garden area, and there are about 8 different spots and each one has about 6 benches or more. And anyway, there are a lot of plants. So I had some coral bells, some bleeding heart. This is wild bleeding heart, not the kind you get at the nursery. And the fiddlehead ferns were starting to come out, and they just had a really cool texture on that. And then, okay, so well, this is, I guess, urban sketching. This was, while my husband was flying his drone, I was drawing some dandelions, which were just cool, and I love the structure of the leaves and the colors and everything. I really like dandelions. I like to eat them, so I did that. And then these are the blueberries that are on our balcony. We've been growing these blueberry plants for about, I don't know, 10 years, and we get this tiny little harvest every year. It's pretty funny. And now the birds get it before we do, but you know, we're trying. Okay, so right here I started to take a weird turn and work on my flowers, and I actually worked from the back. So I think I'm actually going to go to the back of this and work my way forward for the flowers. For some reason, I just decided, you know, as spring was coming and I couldn't wait, and so I started drawing flowers so that I could have my own flowers. This is a California poppy, and this is a Shirley poppy. These are actually from a book I have on how to paint acrylic flowers. And with acrylic, you do everything backwards, right? You put the highlights in at the end. With watercolor, you have to put the highlights in first. So I just wanted to play with that and practice that. And that's from that. These are also from that. This is a, I don't know, I'm not even going to try to pronounce it. Some kind of daisy. And then this was a lily, and this one I went a little crazy with the colors. It's way more colorful than the painting was. I don't know what I was thinking there. This is an apple blossom, and I really like the way that one came out. And then this foxglove, and I drew it, and then I just painted it on my own, I think. Actually, no, I think I used a reference on that, and that one's the foxglove. And I like the way that one came out as well. And I have a video I'm going to post of these two, the pansy and the amaryllis, so I'll just leave that for that. And this was a dahlia. And then this I did from a photograph. This yard in Portland has this. These are the, I'm going to say fritillaries. I don't know how to pronounce them. They're checkerboard. That's the reason I haven't painted this yet, is because these flowers are checkerboards, and I want to get them right. And then these are the great hyacinths, and then I don't know what that is. I can't remember. I might be able to tell from the photograph, but maybe not. So that is coming. I'm going to do that. This was a bike ride to the rose garden where the roses have the rose hips, but nothing was in bloom. They'd been pruned and just on their way. So this was about a month ago or more that I did this one. So that one was a quick one. This is from a botanical, Wendy Hollander, I believe her name is. She does botanical. I have a book on her, how to paint botanical paintings or whatever. And she uses watercolor, or she uses colored pencil mostly with some watercolor, but I want to do watercolor. And this is, of course, the wisteria. So I'm going to finish that. And these are just some photographs. That's Bella Grace. This I made up. These were totally like out of my head. Someplace. I don't know where I got that. Honestly, I was making up some of that stuff as I went. This is rhododendron my husband took. This is from a wedding invitation. I'm going to paint that. I think the acrylic book there. These are crocuses. That's an anemone. Now I'm back to that. All right. So then the last thing on this book is just, I always do this. I start a book from the beginning and from the end because I want to do the things I don't care that much about in the back. But I'm going to change that up in the future. But in the meantime, I worked on some mannequins sketching. This was me first with the contour drawing. Some of my lessons from my videos that I watch. This was a 3-hour lesson on drawing the head. So, of course, I lasted about 30 minutes before I turned that off. That one I had the video on. And then here I was working on, she's following the White Rabbit, and she did her 100 people 1 week, and she did sketching figures, and I need to work on that. But I took some notes on that. That's what that is. This is Alfonso Dunn. He does urban sketching, and so this was when I was first starting out. I don't even have a date on this. I made it through lesson 1 and lesson 2. He had like 8 lessons. I made it through the first 2. I practiced contour drawing of this a few different ways. So this was a continuous line. This is watching the left hand. This was with my eyes closed or not even looking, and then I went back to continuous line because I got the best results from that. More lessons drawing the human head. That's my husband and I looking real good, and there's my daughter having breakfast. my cat, and then I just kind of went off the rails there. I don't know what's going on. This was from somebody's video of sketching people in public. So this is a woman I've never seen. Somebody else was sketching. Almost done. All right, I did a bunch of different cats, and I did contour cats, and I'm not sure that's a thing I want to ever do again, because yeah. And I don't know what's there, something in my living room. This was me having breakfast again and sitting on my couch, and more living room, more living room. This is just paper that I was going to practice buildings. I was practicing people. This was just starting out. This was a woman weeding at the park one day. This is from Minnie Small when she was doing her facial expressions. I'm not sure where that came from. And my car practice, and just working on drawing cars. And then the last page was it says after drinks, but JK, because we went to the food carts, and my daughter said, let's draw each other without looking. So this is us drawing each other. That's her drawing me. You can see she gets her artistic talent from me. And that's I decided to color them because they were cute and funny. So that's my sketchbook I've been working on since January. And I love that it was maybe less than $10. I think I paid like $7 or $8 for it. So I don't have to worry about it, but I look through it all the time to see what I need to work on and how I can improve. And I'm actually going to keep another one of these, but for my trip to Portugal, I am actually going to be using this. It's Pentalic as well. It's an aqua journal though, so it's watercolor paper. And I have my Europe. I'm starting out with a map of Europe, and then I'll go through this. But I'm going to be using a little bit better paper, so we'll do some of that when I get back. Anyway, thank you for watching, and we'll see you next time.